And we are live.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for this edition of the Moonbuilders workshop. Today, I'm thrilled to be joined by Kwame Bryan from Chainsafe Gaming. So for those of you who were with us on the 2 weeks ago during the Moonbuilders monthly recap, we were lucky enough to be joined by Kwame Bryan, and we took a look at kind of the Web3 ecosystem in general. We had a great Q&A discussion. And today's going to be more focused on the Chainsafe Gaming SDK. And this is going to be a live hands-on demo, as well as some background information and a bit of a presentation from Kwame on how the gaming SDK works and everything you need to get up to speed. So as a bit of background, Chainsafe is one of the foremost blockchain engineering firms in the world. Their work is multifaceted, and it spans many different functions, including distributed systems design, blockchain implementation, smart contract design, smart contract auditing, and many, many different things. So they've built a number of different tools. They've built bridges. They've built the Chainsafe Gaming SDK and more. So like Moonbeam, they believe that the future is multi-chain. And that's driven their philosophy and their strategy, including their roadmap and their product development. Chainsafe is intensely focused on the needs of the user and the needs of the Web3 developer. And the Chainsafe Gaming SDK is an EVM-compatible open source library, which is used to connect Unity gaming engines to blockchain networks. It's a SDK, and we can't wait to show you more about it. It's had extensive use and traction so far, and you can go ahead and check it out at the repo. We'll be sure to share that as well. And some background on Kwame. Kwame has extensive experience as a Web2 game developer. He's worked for EA and Microsoft Game Studios. Kwame currently works as a core engineer with a mix of community and developer relations at Chainsafe. And previous to Chainsafe, Kwame worked at Humber and George Brown colleges in game development programs as an instructor and a curriculum developer in Toronto, Canada. And Kwame is passionate about the mobile game development industry and its future with blockchain. So with that, Kwame, I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to you and to let you go ahead and kick it off.
Thank you so much. So my name is Kwame, and today I'm just going to go just a brief overview of what the Chainsafe Gaming SDK is. We'll go through just like, installing the SDK, some of the pitfalls that some of our users seem to run into, and it'll be geared towards, the Moonbeam ecosystem and how, some of the quirks that you might need to go through if you want to use the Chainsafe Gaming SDK with it. So I guess I'll just start off. I have a few slides, so I'll share my screen here. And yeah, that looks like it's sharing. Okay. So right now I do some core development with a mix of, DevRel, like doing like things like this, and community. So you'll see me out in Discord helping users and, kind of like triaging different things there. So I've been really lucky in my career. I worked at EA Mobile, Microsoft Game Studios. There's a list of some of the games that I worked on. I had the opportunity to do instructing at both Humber and George Brown colleges, and worked on curriculum there. For me, getting into blockchain, I was lucky enough to be around in 2014, and there was a hackathon at the Bitcoin Expo, and Ethereum was the hack that year. So I was lucky to get around into that, and kind of stuck around and did some early mining and things like that. There's some of my social, if you want to get a hold of me. And again, I'm into blockchain, primarily blockchain games, and educating people in Web3. What is just a basic overview of what the Chainsafe Gaming SDK is? It's basically a set of prefabs that you can just drag and drop into your Unity projects, and it will connect you to the Web3 ecosystem. We currently have direct support for ERC20, ERC721, and 1155 standards. And of course, you can always like integrate your own, custom contracts and do things like that. We are, like, as Kevin was mentioning, we are like, EVM kind of agnostic at this point, and you can plug and play, any EVM compatible chain into the gaming SDK. And we have support for Webgl mobile and desktop currently. And we're at 1.2.9. And in the next couple of weeks, we'll have, some, bigger updates and releases that we're currently working on. Some of the companies that are currently deeply integrated with the Chainsafe Gaming SDK, either as a game company or as a chain. We recently did a deep integration with the Chronos chain and got them integrated into our ecosystem with their DeFi wallet. There is Tranquility City, which is one of the community led games that is currently that's out there. And Arsenal is another game that's out there and it's getting some, some press, and they use the Chainsafe Gaming SDK also. Okay, so now we'll get into the demo, and hopefully the demo guides will be working with me today. So I will just minimize that, and actually, I'll bring back up these notes, because the first thing that you're going to want to do, if you're going to start getting involved with the Chainsafe Gaming SDK, is go to our actual repo, and you'll see here that we have the web3.unity. And if you select that, you'll see that we have, our current releases here. And all you need to do is just basically just download the Web3 Unity package. And it will probably just bring it up. Yeah. So I'm going to go through and hopefully show some of the, the errors that most people kind of go through. And some of these are more dependent on, the version of Unity that you're using that causes these. So I have one that is where, if you see this, you're probably using an older version of Unity, or maybe something that's just not, or that's something that's more LTS version. So once you've downloaded the Unity package, you will just have to click on import here. And once this is imported, we should see an error at the bottom in this version of Unity. Just kind of let that do its thing. Okay, so you'll see here that it has this dootsoft error. Now, this is an easy fix. This is just something that a lot of our users run into when they first start working with it. So I want to go through these parts. And the asset that you need is JSON.NET. So we just have our JSON.NET for Unity, and we can import that into our project, and then that error will be removed. And if you're using like newer versions, like some versions of Unity come with it and some don't, so they haven't made a full decision if they want to deeply integrate it into the into Unity. And we find that it's easier for people just to go ahead and install it than to remove it if they already have it. So okay, so once you have the package download and install, you'll see that you have a Web3 Unity folder. And right now we do have the documentation that is currently embedded with the SDK. So the one thing that if you're a Moonbase developer, the first thing that other than getting this installed, of course, would be looking at the custom interactions, because when you're using Moonbase, you're going to be wanting to add in your the RPC for Moonbase, and then there's some documentation on how to like integrate your smart contracts that you're going to be integrating. Okay, so I'll just minimize that. And as a general walkthrough, you'll see here that we have prefabs for ERC20, 721, 1155, directly communicating with the EVM, just doing direct calls. And we do have support for just working with private keys in game. This is more for those quicker iterations. And if you wanted to do it that way, that's great. We do have a Web3 wallet. So the Web3 wallet is for if you're working with mobile and desktop. It's kind of like multifaceted, but that's this general use. And then we have Webgl. For today, I'm going to do Web3 wallet. And the reason being for that is that Webgl builds are just, they just take a long time. And I just don't want to kind of waste a lot of time on doing that. So the first thing that we need to do is basically, get this, get ourselves set up for working with Moonbase. So if you are going to make a Webgl build, now let's just get ourselves set up. So we have our scenes here. And in the scenes, you're going to see here that we have a wallet login, and then we have a Webgl login. And I might just do a Webgl login one first. Actually, no, I'll do it this way. Okay, so what we're going to do here is if you are doing a Webgl build, there is something important that you need to do, is that you'll see here that we have this Webgl templates folder. And inside of the web templates, we have Chronos for their DeFi wallet, and then we have our standard Web3 Webgl template. Inside here, we have this network. Inside the network is where you actually set up what chain you want to hit. So based on the chain ID that's defined inside of your your wallet, this is where you're going to tell the gaming SDK which is the first chain that you want to basically support, and you have to support at least one in the start. So I'll open this up here, and you'll see that we have the different chains that are currently embedded inside of the network.js. But you can be assured that if you can connect through like MetaMask with the chain that you're wanting to work with, then it is more than likely like a high percentage of a chance that it's going to work. And usually some of the quirks of it, quote unquote, not working are things that we're going to see in this presentation. So you're going to see here that we have this Moonbase testnet, and this is with the ID of 1287. So if we take this and paste it here, then this is going to be the chain ID that's going to be injected to the extension of the actual wallet. And there's something called chain list. So if you're like a developer and you are, say that you have users that you've configured it for it to work on Moonbase, but it's not already set inside of the user's wallet, then it will just put that information in for you. Okay, so with that, we can close that. Okay, great. Now, some other setup stuff when you're working with Webgl, which is pretty important, is that inside of our build settings, we want to set up the actual index of which which scenes are going to be set first. So for us here, I'm going to use this wallet login as a base, and then we're going to have like just a sample scene. Okay, this is going to be like our base setup. And I'm really on the side of doing Webgl first, and because it's usually the standard that we kind of go by. But I'm going to try that first, and if there is like a long time for the build, then I will just maybe take some questions or kind of go into some other stuff while I was doing that. Okay, so we have the WebGL login as our first one, and then our sample scene is just going to be the transaction scene after we've connected to MetaMask, signed the first transaction, and gone through. Okay, so carrying on here, the next thing that we're going to need to do is go into the player settings. And inside the player settings, we're going to define the wallet that we need to connect to. So I'm going to, oh, hold on a second. Something I forgot to do here. Let's go to WebGL and make sure that we switch our platform. And this will just take a bit here. Okay, great. So now that we switched our platform, we can actually configure which template that we want the SDK to use on building. So now we can click on our player settings. And there we go. Resolution and presentation. And then we'll just select the Chainsafe template here. Okay, so for this part, we're good. We have our web login scene, our web login scene. We have our sample scene. And in here, I'm just going to create a script here. And I'll just call it player account. So we'll grab the player's account, and this will kind of just make sure that everything that we've done is working correctly. So I'm going to also create a UI element, and I'll just call it player account. Okay, I'll hit F to kind of zoom in here. Then I'll just kind of position this somewhere that we can see once we actually log in. Okay, that should be good. Let's go into game view. Okay, excellent. So I'll save that. And then we'll open up this player account script. And this will bring up the whole workspace for Unity. Okay, and I'm going to need to access the Unity engine UI, and then I'm going to make a public text and just call this player account. Okay. Now, oops, let's see what happened up here. Okay. So we have this player, this text object, and if we go back into the documentation here, if we go to our documentation, I'm going to look for the account. Okay, and you'll see here that we have this player account, and once you log in, the player accounts, the logged in player account will be stored to player prefs. So if you need anything from the SDK, your first line of defense is definitely going to our documentation. So I'm just going to copy this, and then I'll go back into my editor. And then on start, I just grab an instance of the account that is currently logged in. and then I'll just access the player accounts text property, and then just assign the account that we get from player prefs after we've logged in. And I'm going to remove the update because it's an extra expense in Unity. Even if you're not using it and it's just there, it still gets called. So, so now we're back here, and everything should be basically set up. And the initial test is here, and this is good. So I'm just going to build and run this. And I'll just call this Webgl. Just like that. And I'm very curious to see how long this will take, because usually sometimes it takes a while, sometimes it like goes really fast. It just never know. So, while this is going, is there any questions, or do you have any questions while this is going?
So Kwame, our first question from the community was saying, I'd like to know opinions about Web3 future gaming prospects and kind of a perspective on the future of Web3 gaming. So we can also talk about this at the end if you'd prefer.
Yeah, while this is going, I'll kind of touch on it, and then I would love to touch on this again, because this could be a whole talk on its own. But I was kind of curious in the beginning with how some gamers weren't really liking the whole idea of NFTs and Web3, but I definitely see it being like the future. There's just so much use cases for the whole opportunity of having NFTs and have it being related to your characters, and the whole ownership aspect, where currently as a game developer we don't actually have ownership of things. Are all centralized. So I really see a huge move in that direction, and lucky for us, like in this current stage of the whole ecosystem. And I remember we were talking about this before, that everything is just so new, that I just kind of see this just progressing and getting deeper and deeper. But yeah, it's a really great question. Love to touch back on that more at the end. So so while that is,
and
oops, sorry, what was that?
Sorry, my hotel Wi-Fi connection is quite bad, but you can hear me okay now?
Yeah, no, yeah, I can hear you great. So while that's still going through,
Awesome.
yeah, I'll just kind of go through and go a general overview of our documentation. So the documentation starts off with an actual tutorial, which is kind of like building out like a simple game. It's kind of comprised with some of the stuff that we were talking about earlier, and some of the pitfalls that you might run into. And there is videos for each of them, an actual overview of the SDK, what types of prefabs that you have, how you basically work with them, things like that. And then we also have another installation guide that basically is kind of going through what I'm talking or presenting right now, which is just kind of just step by step, get the SDK, download it, import it into your project, create an actual Unity project, install, import the SDK, and even like some of the pitfalls that we have. Also, we have just our the base documentation that goes over the EVM and what specific methods that you need to call. Going into the let's see, our support for, ERC 1155s, the different methods that you can basically call, and some of the, like getting like a tokens URI and all that jazz is all there. And as I was talking about more specifically before is, the custom blockchains. So this is where, if you're using something like, Moonbase, and you are, say in one of the examples that we're going to do is actually getting the balance of, it's very important to put in this RPC value. And usually that's something that is kind of like missed with a lot of people who are, new to the SDK and actually setting the chain and stuff like that too. So what else do we have? Oh yeah, our FAQ section. So some of the most common pitfalls and like, just general things that basically come up are here. And in our how-tos, we have, how to, integrate your ABI for your custom contract, sending Ethereum, integrate and transfer, ERC20 tokens. And we have like a brief introduction and videos that will help you along with that too. So let's see what's going on here. Oh, it's taking forever. I know I should have actually done it the other way, but I was kind of hoping that it would work the way it should. So while it's doing that, there is something else that I wanted to do, and I am going to create like an actual token that we can just integrate in later. So I'm going to go over and I'm going to use the Open Zeppelin's contract wizard, and I'm just going to call this I'll call it Moonbase test, and I like making it mintable, and I'll call this MBT, and then I'll just make a million of these, and then I'll just grab this source code, and then what I'll do next is just go into a remix, and I will just create a new contract with this. So okay, so here we have just a test token, and I'll go in here and I'll set it to the same version of Solidity that Open Zeppelin provided for us. And there we go. And then I'll just compile this out. Always finds that sometimes the video is a bit choppy, and everything always takes a lot longer when you're doing a video, doing it live. So hopefully the demo gods are with me. Okay, so now that we have that, I'm going to inject Web3. Okay, let's make sure that. Okay, let me just make sure that I'm okay. I'm on Moonbase. Injected Web3. Okay, that's my account. And then the contract is going to be this Moonbase test. And we will deploy that. Okay, and you'll see that we're on the Moonbase Alpha. And then we can just confirm that. And then this contract will be deployed momentarily. Okay, Saved by the Bell. All right, so, okay, let's close that. And so now that our instance of our game is going, we can just click on the login here. We will select the account and go in. And I forgot to do something. All right, so inside here in our player account, forgot to add our script. So let's drag and drag that script in. So we have the script in. You'll see that we have that public, the public variable for the text object, and then our player account. We can just drag and drag and drag and drop that in. And so now that we know that the SDK basically it basically works, right? The major part here is having it connect. I'm going to actually change it so that now that it uses the wallet login, so that you can build like desktop games. And if you're doing like quicker like iterations, I find that I like this approach better, but it's really up to the game developer. So let's go back into the build settings, and I'm going to remove the web login scene, and then I'm going to bring in the wallet login. Okay, and what I will do here, instead of like building it out, what I can do is I can use this in the editor. So this is great for, because WebGL builds take forever, and if you want a quick iteration but still get the effect of connecting, browser based, then this is the way to go. Okay, so now that we have that, we'll just make sure that everything is set up in our sample scene here, and we'll just go into the canvas, the player, and we have our player account, which is defined here, getting the player prefs. So this will connect to the user's wallet, get an instance of that, and then we'll be able to pass that account to the player account's text property. All right. So let's go back in here, kind of flipping around, and we'll click on that wallet login, and then I'll just click on play. All right. Now I don't want this to remember me, so I'll just uncheck that, and then we'll click the login, and then this will bring up MetaMask. Will sign this. We'll copy the signature to the clipboard, and then now once we log in, you'll see that we have the account here. Okay, great. So what do we want to do next? So let's look at how we can work with some of these prefabs. So I'll go back into our sample scene, and what do we want to do? We want to integrate or add a prefab. So let's go into a prefab. We'll go for an ERC 20, and we'll access the balance of. Okay, so with this balance of, it's going to just basically give us, access to the balance of an account per a specific contract. So I'm just going to open up this example, and you can see in this example here that we have the chain, we have the network, the contract, and the account. So I'm going to, for the chain, this is going to be Moonbase. The account is Moonbase AlphaNet, and the contract. So let's go back into, actually, you know what? I think this is the account that Kevin gave me for the dev token. So we should have, that's the dev token. And then I'm just going to basically I'm just going to copy my, test account here and just paste that in. Okay. Now, I was mentioning before that there should be an error. There's going to be an error. So let's bring that in. And now that we have this balance of, because the balance of is a call, we don't have to basically do any signing or getting anything like that, right? We're just basically doing a read from the chain. So let's click play and see what we get here. So let me save that and then click play. Okay, so let's see here. Now the error that we have here is provider is not set. So that provider is basically the that's the RPC value for Moonbase. So let's uncheck that, and we are going to go back into our script here, and then we are going to just have a string for the RPC, and then so don't mess anything up. Oops. I'm going to just copy and paste the actual RPC for Moonbase. And this is, I just got all this information from the developer site here, but maybe this is something that we can add into our own SDK or our own documentation. And now we'll have the balance up here. So we can just basically save that. And I'll go back into here. I'll clear this up. And this should now give us the balance of the dev token that I have in my account. And click on play. I didn't test this before, but it should work. Yeah. So it says 0 because it's like less than the actual amount. So there we go. Cool. Okay, so what can we do next? So at this point in time, let's go back into Remix here. And here is our contract address for the token that we just launched. So let's select that. And if we go back into Unity and we open up our editor, right? Let's update that contract with the contract that we just deployed on Moonbase through Remix. So I'm just going to copy and paste that in here and click on save. And now we will see the balance of in the bottom of our token that we just created. So we have that there, okay, and on play. And then now we can see that this is the actual token that we just launched. What else did I want to show? I mean, that's kind of really like a general overview of like how you can use the SDK, how you can create your own token. Some other stuff that might be useful here is like formatting your ABI. So let's if I go into our SDK here, you'll see that like inside of the ABI, like this is the ABI for your token, right? You don't this is like the most generic of all of just a generic ERC20 ABI. And if you're not changing anything or doing anything crazy with your token, then this is going to be what you need and kind of how you can go about working with any token that you create on Moonbase. And then you'll see here that specifically for the balance of, the name, and all these different ones here where it's just calling, the methods of this ABI. The one thing that's very, specific for all of these, EVMs that you're working with that are outside of just the core, Ethereum chains, is that all you need to do is just update that RPC, like I showed you guys before. And if you're doing that, you're going to have no issues, working with your own, custom contracts and things like that. But as a general, introduction to, the Chainsafe Gaming SDK, how you get it set up, how you create a token, how you, manipulate it, how you set it up for, Webgl and for, desktop and everything like that. That's pretty much, the most general and basic overview to how you do it, even to, creating a text property and how you kind of assign that. So yeah, I mean, that's pretty much what I wanted to do as a presentation. I think I might have gone a bit longer than I thought. I thought there would have been more crashes, but nothing. It was successful. Nothing broke. So yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it for the presentation part. And yeah,
It was perfect. We just have a couple questions, and you can hear me okay, right?
yeah, for sure.
Awesome, awesome. So one question is, are there any plans for supporting Unreal Engine or Godot SDKs?
Godot and
Godot.
yeah, and Unreal. There we did some playing around with it earlier in the year, and we did have some success. It's definitely something that's on our roadmap to do. But with all things, there's just so many, there's just so much on our plate to just to keep the ship going. So it's something that's definitely in the future, and yeah, we'll keep the community updated on that, and the Moonbeam team also.
Next question is Michael asks, what services or tools would you recommend for the decentralization of content? For example, game distribution or content delivery using asset bundles?
Yeah. So I mean, uh, I'm not really too sure in which context that this could be. Like if you're using like addressables and having your characters be loaded from a different into different games, or kind of sharing those resources, that would be great. But there's still always going to be that like if you're integrating, if you're working with the contract, then you're still stuck to the chain that you're basically deploying your contracts to. So even though these NFTs can live on different chains, they're still kind of specific to the chain that they were deployed on. As far as like the distribution models, in gaming at this stage, they're still kind of like a middleman type of solution, right? Because if you say like you're minting like in game, then you're not necessarily like holding the private keys of the owner of the NFT itself to basically pass them around. You're usually connecting to like a hybrid kind of solution where there's like a server somewhere that issues out the NFT or a reward. So it's a really good question, and it's going to be cool to see what people do to make games purely decentralized. But I think it's still going to take a bit of time for us to truly get there.
And I have a couple questions. They might seem a little bit more higher level. I hope that's okay. So in general, do you see more users on mobile or on desktop typically for the typical gamer?
Right now, it is still desktop and web, right? And the main reason is that like Android and Apple, love them, did a lot of mobile development, but if they're not getting their piece right,
Mm.
um, and that's the biggest problem right now with trying to launch games that are decentralized and have a Web3 kind of component to it. Is how do the those providers get a piece of the rewards if you sell some armor, or someone buys some gold to play in these decentralized games? Is that there currently isn't a mechanism to send a piece over to Apple or Android. So the best way to circumvent that is to have like a desktop game that you just run an executable. It connects to your wallet, like we saw in the example earlier, or is purely just web, and you just connect with your Web3 wallet, and you're off to the races. So I do think that once that barrier has been circumvented, then decentralized gaming is just going to go through the roof. Like I remember starting off and doing like mobile games, and people thought it was really silly. Like who would want to play a phone on their play a game on their phone, right? And now we have these supercomputers that are just perfect for this type of decentralized even having like at Chainsafe we have light clients, right? And running a light client on your phone and having that be a part of this whole ecosystem is something I've been thinking about. Love to try to implement it. But yeah, I guess that would be the pinnacle. But right now, desktop and browser based games are pretty much the forefront.
For sure, for sure. And it seems like it's easier to carve out some time in your day on mobile, right? Oh, I have 10 minutes here, 15 minutes here, versus like desktop gaming time. It might be harder to.
Yeah, and I think that a lot of these early games that we're seeing on the blockchain are going to be kind of commit reveal type style games, where or card games where you make a move and you commit that to the chain, and then someone else gets that information, and then they commit a move, and then so that tends well to mobile, where on desktop it's like more like action games. But we have people who are doing like first person shooters, and you buy armor and you buy weapons, and so it really kind of depends on the type of style of game. But the mobile is like you said, it's just like you can pick up, and maybe if it was like a Flappy Bird type of PvE style game, and you just play for 10 minutes and you earn 50-60 tokens, right? Like is that what is going to make mobile gaming or gaming in general mainstream? I really do. I think that the bigger push is going to be for people who can play a decentralized game on their phone. That's where the user base of, and where blockchain gaming is really going to go through the roof, where instead of earning points, we earn tokens for these games. And if the ecosystem is big and you start playing the game early, it's kind of like buying some of these tokens that we are investing in now like years ago, right? So yeah, I would love to see more of that, but the whole issue with mobile right now is just getting Apple and Android to kind of get their piece from their stores. And unfortunately I haven't figured out a good way of circumventing that yet.
And when you say light client on your phone, could you elaborate on what a light client is on the phone?
Yeah, so I mean, I wish there was someone from Chainsafe that could go into the weeds, but with it. But basically, like from my understanding, and I don't work on that team, so but just from my general understanding, is just like a a very snapshot instance of the blockchain that could run on your phone, right? So you don't
Oh,
have
I see, I see.
full
Oh, for
node, of
sure,
course, right? But you just
for
have
sure.
like little snapshots, right? But Is that
I was thinking of
snapshot?
a gaming reference.
Oh, yeah, like a
I wasn't
game.
thinking of like client in the blockchain. I was thinking more of actually like on the like a desktop, like a light client desktop where you have like just a screen, and then the server is actually like you're playing the game on server somewhere else, and
Oh,
the
okay.
local instance that you have is like literally just a keyboard and a mouse. I was thinking something
Oh,
like
okay.
that.
Yeah, not that. I'm thinking more of like in the decentralized kind of world of gaming, and not like having to, even depend on like in Fira, right? And just kind of
For sure,
just having the client itself be their own kind of Infura, right?
for sure, for
Not to
sure.
say
Yeah,
that we don't still need them, but as far as like the gaming world and how that would need to be kind of put together, that's my idea. That's what I'm thinking in my head. So
no, for sure.
thinking out loud sometimes is not good.
No. It's and with the um, uh, yeah, I have like a couple more questions, I guess, before we wrap up. Um,
Sure.
so you mentioned a couple different. You mentioned a couple games. Um, did you want to maybe give a shout out to any games that you really enjoy, or maybe upcoming ones that you're interested in?
Well, I mean, there's a ton in our community that people are working on. I showcased a couple of them because there were some recent blog posts through our communications team. So I wanted to, if anybody was watching this, to check those out, because it leads back to our communication hub. But there's just like I don't want to single any other specific teams out, because there's just so much really good stuff out there. And to be honest, there is a lot more games that use the Chainsafe Gaming SDK, and we don't even know. So this is an opportunity for people who might be seeing this later, that if they see game, or if they're using games that use the Chainsafe Gaming SDK, like give our communications team a shout out, and we'd love to you know collaborate and get the word out, because there's a lot of great stuff out there. And Tranquility City and Arsenal, and the stuff that the Chronos Play team are doing is great, but there's just so much out there. And I don't want to single anybody out that then who's in our communications channel, because maybe they don't want
All
me
good.
to.
All
Yeah.
good. And how can developers join the ChainSafe community? Is there a Discord or a community group somewhere where they can like ask questions and hear updates?
Yeah, so I will share our Discord. Um, yeah, like on our documentation, we have a link to our Discord. I'll share that with you.
And I also want to give a shout out to your YouTube channel, which has an extensive series of tutorials. They're quick, they're to the point, and I think they're very, very useful.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, so here's a link to our documentation, and also I'll add a link to our repo. And yeah, you can get to our Discord channel, come join us. Yeah, we have people that have been using Moonbeam there for a while, so it's kind of great to say hi to your community. And just love the relationship that is currently building with you guys, and hopefully we can build it further.
Oh, we're thrilled to be working closely with you. And I think last thing before we wrap up, do you want to give us a sneak peek of what's in store, over the next couple months, or what's on the ChainSafe's Gaming SDK roadmap?
Yeah, I know. I saw this question. I was like, ah, man, maybe I should delete it. I'm going to be kind of stuck with it.
Oh no,
We
it's
do
okay.
have,
It's
yeah,
maybe not
there,
public. Don't share anything that's like
yeah,
not
yeah.
not
There's
public or
nothing
anything like
there.
that.
We do have like a lot of stuff that's basically cooking, but unfortunately, right now it's still a bit under wraps. But it should be released in the very near future. And maybe you guys can invite us back, and we can share those updates with you guys.
Oh, certainly. We'd love that. So thank you so much, everyone. I think that that brings us to a close on the questions and everything. But Kwame, this has been a fantastic session. The live demo went flawlessly. I appreciate that you were able to create the token, in the meantime, while we were waiting for everything, to compile. In terms of the RPC endpoints, you can find that all on our website, docs.moonbeam.network. We have public endpoints. As your game moves towards production, you'll want to use dedicated endpoints. For most providers, they're free up to a very large number of requests, such as Blast, formerly Beware Labs. There's also On Finality. But yeah, just for the best performance, you'll want to use a dedicated RPC endpoint, but the public ones are fine. Just for testing. So thank you so much, Kwame. I can't thank you enough. We had a fantastic discussion here and at the Moonbuilders recap a couple weeks ago. I really enjoyed both of these.
Yeah, they've gone pretty well, and thanks for inviting me back to represent Chainsafe, and yeah, hopefully we can do this soon.
Oh, certainly. And if anyone missed this, we'll put a recap on YouTube, and it'll be available here as well. So thank you so much, Kwame.
Thank you, Kevin. Have a great day.
See you next time.
Okay. Yeah, you too. Bye, everyone.